So to UV map it, I'm really only going to UV map a couple of the parts. I'm going to UV map this piece, one of the cushions, one of the back cushions, an arm, and the back. And then everything else I'll duplicate over again so I don't have to re-UV map each of the cushions. I UV map once and then I duplicate the object. You know, I'm thinking I also want to smooth these guys down here, but I also, I think, want to maybe take this edge right here and scale it in. I'll just press S and scale that in just a smidge, and then I'll click smooth over here and that'll smooth that up. So now I'm just going to take all of these and hit X and delete. Go back to the 7 key and the 5 key and the Z key. Grab that little guy and just duplicate and hit X, and then take these two and Shift D and Y and move these back up here. There we go. So let's start UV mapping these. I'll begin with this one, let's say. I'll come up here to the default screen layout and I'll just click here, and instead of the default screen layout the way I have it, I'll go to UV editing, and there we go. I'll press the period key to zoom in on that, and to isolate this I'll press Shift H. Now, one thing I need to deal with is I've still got the subdivision surface modifier on here. I need to apply that. I need to bake or make permanent this geometry. You can see that the original geometry is still pretty blocky and out here. I need to bake this in. So what I'm going to do, let me just, while I'm in the UV editing view, I'm just going to move this over a bit. And I'm going to grab this little tab right up here and just bring that over. And then I'll create a properties panel from this. Here we go. So if I go over to my modifiers tab, I can see I've got my subdivision surface modifier. I've got the view at 2. Let me see what happens at 1. Not bad. I almost feel like I could move these in a bit like this, and maybe even move these down a bit so it's not quite causing such a sharp edge there. Something like that. So I'll go with the 1, I'll hit apply, and now you can see if you hit tab, that's what the cushion looks like now. Now I think I could get rid of a good deal of these polygons. I'm going to click this little guy right here to make it so I can't see through it. And I think I could probably get rid of these. So I'll press the C key to go to the circle select tool, and I'll just click and drag some of these polygons here. And maybe these over here. I don't think I need most of those. So I'm going to hit X and delete those faces. And I don't know that I need all of these edges along here either. I'll just do this and this with Alt and Shift and click, and then I'll press X and choose Dissolve Edges. If we just deleted edges, here's what would happen. That's not good. So I'll undo that with Control or Command Z. What we need to do is dissolve the edges. So I'll press X and Dissolve Edges. And that leaves the polygons there, but removes the edges. Alright. So I like doing this because I like not having to UV map faces that aren't going to be seen. So I'm just going to go with this here. I'm going to select this edge and then control click this edge, and everything in between those two edges will be selected. And then I'll press Control E and mark a seam. And same thing over here. Do this. Now let's do this. And this. Oops. I need to press Control. There we go. Mark a seam. And I'll do the same thing over here. So this. Control here. Control E, mark seam, and then this and this right down here. Control click, Control E, mark seam. So now that we've marked these seams, we can go ahead and unwrap this. But let me show you something that may happen when you try and unwrap an object like this. What can happen is you get a little error here. So I'm going to press U, which brings up the UV mapping menu, and then I'm going to click Unwrap. Now look up here. It says object has non-uniform scale. Unwrap will operate in a non-scaled manner, or whatever it says. In other words, what it's telling you is you may not be getting a good unwrap here because the transforms haven't been applied. You've got non-uniform scale. So let me show you what that means. I'm going to move this over just a bit, press the N key, and what that means is if I tab into object mode, look at the scale here. They're not all the same. When you create a new object, these are all ones. So if I come over here and create a cube, that cube you can see is all ones, right? That's uniform scale. This is non-uniform scale. And when you have non-uniform scale, your UV unwraps can be a little wonky. So it's something to look out for. To fix that, what you can do is press Control A, and now you can apply the transformations of, say, your rotation and scale. You can do it for the scale only, and that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and hit rotation and scale here. And there we go. So now these are all ones. Okay, so now I'm going to hit the N key to go back and then tab into edit mode. Now I'm going to press U and unwrap. That looks better. See, the deal is when it has uniform scale, the UV map will more closely match the scale and proportion of your object. That looks pretty good. I'm going to go with that for now. So I'm going to tab out of that, press Alt-H to bring everything else back. And let's take a look at this. So I'll hit the period key to zoom into it. I'll press Shift-H to isolate it. And let's take a look and see if we can apply our subdivision surface modifier here. I'll take it down to 1 again, and that still looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and hit apply, and now let's take a look at it. Let's go ahead and see if we can take away some of these faces. So I'm going to take these away right down here. I don't think we need these. And that'll just make my life a little easier as I try and unwrap this. I don't think we need these down here, do we? Well, you might see these. Let me give those back. All right, let's go ahead and delete this and see what happens. X and delete faces. All right. I'm going to press Alt-H again and make sure I haven't taken away anything that I need. No, I think that looks pretty good. So I'll select that again. Shift-H. I think I can even take one more row here. Right here. Yeah. There we go. All right, so now making my life easier when it comes to UV mapping. I like it. I think what I'll do is I'll begin here and control click to there. Control E, mark seam. Yeah, I would think it was here, wasn't it? So control click, Control E, mark seam. And down here, really, we only need one, I think. Maybe here and here. Control E and mark seam. So now if we hit A to select everything. Oh, before we do this, take a look at our scale. Tab back into object mode. Yep, sure enough. Non-uniform scale. So in object mode, I'll press Control A, rotation and scale. Now we've got all ones and zeros. Tab back into edit mode and press U and unwrap. Oh yeah, that's looking good. All right, Alt-H. Let's take a look at something else here. How about this guy down here? Let's take a look at this. Shift-H, period to frame it up. And now we're not going to need the faces back here. But let's go ahead and take the view down to 1, see if we can, yeah, we can use that. All right, so we'll apply that. tab into object mode, and let's start removing some of these faces. We just don't need all of this back here. Something like this. All right, X faces. How about down here? We don't need all of this, do we? Nope. Faces, delete those. What about the ones on the sides? Alt-H to bring everything. We don't need those on the sides either, do we? No, so Shift-H. Let's take those away. Heck, do we even need these up top? Let's take a look. Alt-H. Well, you can kind of see through some in here, but on back, I don't think we do. All right, well, that makes our life a little easier. So if we just take away, if we just took away this whole thing and then press Alt, Shift, and clicked on an edge right between two of the faces, and that didn't do me any good. Now let's try that again. Alt, click, oh man. All right, so Alt, click an edge between two of the faces and get rid of those. All right, so I'll hit X and faces. And then I want to hit the Z key and border select all of this. So I'll press B and click and drag here. X and faces. All right. So yeah, that doesn't look too bad. Can we even get rid of this here too? Alt click that. Well, let's try it. That'd be nice if I could get rid of all of that. Alt H. Yeah, why not? Let's just get rid of all that. Nice. All right, Shift H, let's take a look at it. You know, since it's just one-sided, I think we could just unwrap it as is. We don't need to create any seams or anything. So I'll tab back into object mode, press Control A, click rotation and scale, tab back into edit mode, U, and unwrap. Now, let's take a look down here. When you unwrap something and before you click anything or anything, you can come over here and try a different method out. I'm currently using angle base, but let's try conformal. Doesn't really help us much. I'll go with that. That looks okay. All right, Alt-H to bring that back. What haven't we done yet? We haven't done this yet, right? All right, so let's try that. I'll Shift-H that and isolate it. Now, let's think about this. Let's take the view in the subdivision surface modifier down to 1. See how that looks. I think that'll work. I'll hit apply, tab into edit mode. And for this, we could get rid of some at the back and inside there. Let me make sure I know which way is which. Okay, so this is the back and this is the inside. All right, we could even get rid of some on the bottom, I think. I don't think I'm going to be turning this couch over any in the scene. All right, I'm going to isolate it, go to edit mode, and press the C key, and I'll just start taking some of these out and seeing what we can get away with. And if I take out too many, we can always undo it. I'll hit X and faces. Yeah, okay. Let's try these here. All right, there's that. I'll go ahead and take those out. And then on the inside, let's do this. There we go. To get these little ones, I'm going to press the Z key and then B to border select these and delete these. All right. Let's take a look at what we got. Press Alt-H. Did we ruin it for anything? No, I think we're pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so let's try and UV map this. Once again, I'll press Control A and rotation and scale. To apply the transforms, I'll tab into edit mode And let's go ahead and mark a few seams here. I think maybe just right around here would be fine. Yeah, let's try that. Control E, mark seam, hit the A key, and then hit the U key and unwrap. It's not too bad. How about conformal, angle-based? I kind of like conformal a little bit better. Yeah, let's go with that.